as we take a look at next week, Joe. All right, 3 things we need to be ready for, or we will be discussing about next week.
You know, I think one thing that's going to be at the top of the list is the fact that the cool weather is just not going away from the Great Lakes through the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. It'll be a little warmer than it has been the past couple of days, but it is still not going to be warm, certainly not feeling like we're going into June. It's going to be extraordinarily wet, unfortunately, from Texas to the Carolinas, a risk for severe weather and flooding. It's going to heat up in the west. In fact, you're going to see a very quick transition to summer in the western part of the country.
Yeah, when you take a look at the rainfall, Joe, you had mentioned Texas toward the Carolinas. Watch as we go in the next week. Now, this is some of the rain we're going to see over the weekend. Then as it expands eastward. By the way, more rain in the Mid-Atlantic. You told me 2 weeks ago, but by the time we got into June, that drought in the Mid-Atlantic will be over. And when we get the next drought index on Thursday, it'll be gone.
Yeah, I mean, just look at some of the rain amounts over the past couple of days in the Mid-Atlantic, and there's been, 1 to 2 inches in places, in some places almost 6 inches in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Just an extraordinary nor'easter that worked its way off the coast. But we're talking about next week, and there's going to be a series of impulses working their way slowly but surely eastward. There'll be some severe weather with that. I don't want to discount that, but I'm really concerned about the risk of flooding downpours that really begins this week, and then it expands slowly but surely eastward next week, and you can see why. There's going to be this dip in the jet stream that you see right in here, and that's going to suppress moisture to the south. So it's going to be targeting areas from Texas and Oklahoma, maybe southern Kansas and southern Missouri eastward into the lower Mississippi Valley and the Tennessee Valley. You'll at least have this nice little bubble high pressure system up here for the early and midweek period that dries things out and allows for it to get a little bit milder, but still not summer-like. The summer-like warmth, that's heading out west with this big jump in the jet stream out west. Going to see consistent sunshine and temperatures 80s, maybe some 90s start to show up too.
Joe, that dip in the jet stream across the central U.S. starts to head toward the coast over the weekend, and then you have to wonder, do we get a storm to form along the East Coast late next week?
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be very much tied to more disturbances trying to come down from the northwest in this general fashion. Does it pick this up, pull it northeastward into a storm system that would mean more rain for these areas, or does it push it out to sea? Regardless, there's going to be another shot of cool air that comes in behind this feature for the end of next week and the start of June.
All right, how about a catchy title that you and I came up with all by ourselves with tremendous help from Mariella, Jumping into June.
Yes, and as we jump into June, I think that the sneak peek of the pattern you see next week repeats itself. In other words, you're going to see ridging here in the west. That means sunshine and widespread heat. Meanwhile, you're going to see a slow transition to summer across the Great Lakes in the Northeast. And in between, disturbances coming this way are probably going to mean rounds of thunderstorms for the nation's midsection.
AccuWeather long-range expert, the crystal ball meteorologist Joe Lundberg. Thanks for joining us here on AccuWeather Early.